What's up? Welcome to another episode of Emma's Bunker. It's me, Emma Willmann. Welcome to the bunker. Thank you for being here. If you're watching this on YouTube, I want to start out by saying I'm sorry I didn't put on any makeup. And I know that's what you come here for, to see what kind of makeup look I'll be sporting that day. Fashion. I'm apologizing because it looks like I made out with an electrical socket, and I promise I didn't. I promise I didn't do that. If you're listening audioly, however it's called, thanks for letting me into your brain in that capacity. You know what I'm saying? When I'm listening to a podcast, it really feels like the person is in my brain, which is trippy because I listen to true crime podcasts a lot. But it's interesting. And I'm friends with podcasters. A lot of comedians are podcasters. And now that I'm doing this show and I'm having some of them on, when I'm researching them, I'll listen to their podcasts, which I hadn't done before. And I'm here to report 100% of the time, they are like they are on the podcast. I can't say that for comedy. And I think comedians a lot of times are a way heightened version of themselves when they're doing stand-up. But with podcasting, batting 100 on the people that I know that also do their podcasts are like they are on and off the podcast. So just a fun fact from my experience of that. Today on the show, we're going to do a quick catch up. Crazy stuff. Just some stuff happened. And then I have a conversation with a comedian who is also a writer. He's toured with the Impractical Jokers. He's toured with Joel McHale, Whitney Cummings. He's also dyslexic like me. His name is J.F Harris, and he's a buddy of mine who I know from New York. Now he lives in LA, and he hooked me up in LA. He got me a couple spots at the Comedy Store right before I left, which was awesome. It was just cool. It was outdoor, socially distanced. I was behind glass, but it felt really good. And it felt good too because I had been going back and forth between, should I move to LA and just go for it, which I really think I'm going to do, or should I try to be back in New York, just developing where it's more comfortable and I have more friends and I can get as much stage time as I want, but what am I really doing with that time? Or should I try to get out of my comfort zone? And I think it's LA. And just him doing that gesture of getting me up and we having fun. I had fun. I'll tell you, the most fun I had was before one of the shows. I was walking around getting some steps in, and I went to this, what was it? It wasn't a Piggly Wiggly. They would never have a Piggly Wiggly in LA. Oh my God, never. The word pig, if you utter that in LA, shot. Point all the people that are anti-gun, take out a gun and shoot you right in the head. If you go, is there a pig? It's over. It wasn't a Piggly Wiggly. It was like a dip in something. Whatever it is, it's right near the Comedy Store in LA. Gas station. And I went in and I was like, okay, trying to count my carbs, count my protein, count my calories. First time ever. It's been very empowering. And I see this ham and cheese and cracker thing. It was like a deluxe Lunchable. I swear it was deluxe. It had Triscuits in it, okay? Not Ritz. And I feel like Triscuits are fancier than Ritz. I don't know why I'm saying that. I think it's the rosemary. And it fit in, so I ate that and while I walked to the store, and that, if I'm being totally honest, was the peak fun of that whole endeavor, but the comedy portion was fun too. And as another aside, I texted the nutritionist I've been working with, and I said, I've never enjoyed food more than since I started working with you. And she said, are you being sarcastic? And I said, no, I've never enjoyed it more because I don't take it for granted and I'm thinking about it and I feel good about that. And she said, great. She's great. I should post her info somewhere. It's been very interesting and empowering. So I appreciate that about JF. But now to catch up. Okay, this week. Oh my fucking God. All right. Okay. How do we get it ramped up? So I'm not on a lease in New York or LA right now. My girlfriend is in Louisiana. She was like, I'm getting out of Dodge. I want to wait until Corona blows over. And I'm trying to decide where I want to be. Obviously, I want to be keeping travel to a minimum. And I need to do the quarantine of 3 days, get tested, that whole thing. So I get into New York and I get to where I'm staying, order some groceries because I'm like, all right, I'm going to be here for 3 days, see what happens. That night, if you recall, my tooth had been a little loose. When you see the conversation with James, this is before my tooth gets cemented back in. See, it's back in now for good, but hopefully. But I get in and I'm telling you, I think about 3:30 a.m. I run my tongue over my teeth. There's no tooth. My tooth is gone. So I'm like, fuck, I swallowed my fucking, and it's so expensive to get those new teeth. And I'm like, oh, shit, fuck. I swallowed it. So how much protein is in that? Because I need to enter it into my little app. But I'm like, damn it, I can't go see the freaking dentist. So what I did was I was like, all right, I found a place that did rapid tests. I got 2 rapid tests. I'm just getting my nose. I just go in, I'm like, shove it in. I've watched a lot of porn. I'm like, come on, big boy. Nose, fuck me. I know some lingo. So I get the test and negative. And then I go to the dentist. And while I'm in the car to the dentist, I'm like, I check my stocks. I bought some stocks when the market crashed. First time ever. And I had bought this stock called Cedar Fair, which is an amusement park in Canada. And I had sold it because I was like, okay, I really need some cash. I'm not making any money. And I smushed the front of my girlfriend's car. I'm going to have to pay for this fucking tooth. And then I'm going to have to then dig out of my poop. But I knew I wasn't going to do that. So I'm going to get a new tooth. I'm going to have to pay for that. I was like, I need to get some cash. So the second this stock breaks even, because it's been in the red, I'm going to sell it. Breaks even Friday, I sell it. Monday morning, I'm going to the dentist, swallow my tooth. I see that the stock has skyrocketed. I'm like, fuck, I made $18, but I could have made more and I need that more. I go in, they take the stuff for the tooth. I know it's going to be expensive because they have the secretary come in and talk to me. That's when you know you're about to, when they're like, before they tell you the price, when they need to have a conversation, it's a dentist version of what had happened was. They're like, you're going to need to do this and then that. And then they start talking about other things they're like trying to bring it all together. I'm like, just hit me with the number, hit me with the number, hit me with the number. You've got me. You've got me. I got no tooth in the front of my face. Not even worse than not having a tooth in front of my face. I got a snaggle tooth in the front of my face. So you got me here. What's the number? They're still not saying. They need to talk to a bunch of people. So the more people everyone needs to talk to, everyone's charging for that. So I'm like, fuck. So that sucks. I'm leaving. I call my dad. I'm like, check this out. I sold this freaking stock and I could have made a little money off of it. And then he told me, and this is where some dumb luck comes in. He goes, when'd you sell it? I said, Friday afternoon, 4:04 p.m. He goes, market closes at 4 p.m. Guess what? I have a free account, so they don't do a direct sale. Apparently the stock market closes. I don't know how that works. Truly, someone write in msbunker@gmail.com. How does that work? It just stops. Like, I thought it was like all based on I don't know. How does it stop? Isn't it all digitized? It just turns off. So they sold it and then I made the money. Now I got to put it towards Ashley's car. But my dad, it was like, you're a financial genius. I was like, oh, pretty sweet though. Pretty sweet. If you want to hear me talk about the stock market, write in, let me know. That's of interest to people because I got some theories. Basically, the thing always goes up. I swear to God, it's always going to go up. As long as we are in capitalism and America, that thing, you can buy something called an ETF in the stock market. So basically, you're buying a stock in the stock market at like 300% over the past 6 years. It's going up. Everything's rigged. I don't know how, but it's rigged around that. So anyway, so that wasn't that bad. I was excited. I'm feeling good. I got this book on managing yourself, Harvard Business School's 10 must reads, just skimming it. I'm just skimming it. But I'm reading that, and so much of it is about positive mindset. And I wanted to share this one thing. In it, it talks about time. And they talk about how people always want more time. How do I get more time in the day? That's not necessarily something I look for, more time in a day, but I understand the sentiment. I just wish I had more time in the day. So they said you can't get more time. What you can get is more energy. And I thought that was really interesting. They said, and how you get more energy is you do things that energize you. And I'll fill you in when I read what that is. How's that for a cliffhanger? But just to really skim what I read, part of what energizes you is things that give back to you. So think of things that drain you, and then you try to like orient doing less of that shit. Like in math, in high school, I was so drained by the end of it because I had to work so hard and I was so bad at it. The return on time investment was negative 7,524 billion. And that made me feel more drained than something I was good at. Unfortunately, in high school, the only thing I was good at was socializing at lunch. Oh, fucking shut it down. Class government did all that, whatever. Anyway, but that energized me. So you're going to find things that energize you so you can have more energy. Take vitamins. Doesn't need to be fancy ones. Get some fucking fish oil. And if you are able to walk, start walking. Please, for the love of God, you can do it. Start walking. Sometimes it sucks. Not everything's going to be fun. Start walking. If you're in a wheelchair or you cannot walk, start rolling. You don't get to skip out. You don't get to be like, doesn't apply to me about the movement. It does. Start rolling. And if I've seen people who are totally paralyzed from the neck down, wiggle your eyelids. I'm looking at you. And also thank you so much for listening, truly, because if you are paralyzed from the neck down, you can't move your headphones out. So I'm guessing you have someone putting me on and you're just entrusting that I'm going to give you a good entertaining hour. So you're not having to be like, or whatever. So I'm truly honored, but you're not slipping out of this. Head, you start blinking. Start blinking, get your blinks in, start blinking. Okay. Now, to the people that can step, you better appreciate those steps extras when you think about our buddy Head, okay? Please let me know what your actual name is if you exist. All right, so that's the catch up on me. I hope that you are well. I want to ask you one question before we get to the conversation portion of the show. What is something you've purchased during quarantine? Just tell me some weird purchases, something you weren't buying before Corona hit, and then Corona hit. What have you been buying? Because I was talking about it with James. He gave me a ride home the other day, and he told me he bought piano. He bought a bunch of piano lessons, and he bought a keyboard. And I was like, yeah, it's these things we buy that aren't just the thing, it's the whole lifestyle with it. Like, I bought this boxing bag when we first went into lockdown. It was so expensive. And the reason I bought it, I was like, well, it comes with all these online classes. Now, when I bought this, all my work is canceled. I was paying rent in New York, but I was Airbnb it out. Okay, not really went because it's legal, And then I'm on the hook for the rent. I'm just hemorrhaging money. But for some reason, I was like, fitness will help. I'll buy this boxing bag that's like $1,000. I know. God, I hope my dad doesn't listen to this. But look, Dad, I'm saving. Remember the stock I did? Financial genius. I bought this boxing bag, and you're supposed to take the classes. I used it maybe one time and was like, this sucks. And then I stopped. And now it's just sitting. And I could have easily just bought a boxing bag and then watched YouTube videos, a million other things. So that was the stupidest purchase of mine during Corona. James didn't say his piano lessons were stupid, but he implied it because that's how we brought it up. And then we were talking about trying to buy things that you think make you the person you want to be, but then you just don't use them. So what's something silly? You bought a weird panini press? Let me know. I'm just curious. I want to get to know you better. And if you didn't buy anything weird, just tell me what your favorite dessert is. You know what I'm saying? I want to get to know you. emmasbunker@gmail.com. Okay, now let's get to my conversation with JF. Here it is. I'm Emma Willmann. You're listening to Emma's Bunker, and this is my conversation with my buddy, J.F. Harris. Today I am talking to my friend, comedian, and writer, and actor, J.F. Harris. He's a comedian from New York. That's where I know him. Now in L.A., he was on The Late Late Show with James Corden, and Bill Burr presents The Ringers, and he was just poking some holes in some theories I heard from someone who was on QAnon.
Yeah.
I was saying I met a guy who was telling me some QAnon stuff, and you were saying not so much.
Yeah, I was basically saying that guy needed more hugs when he was growing up.
Have you met anybody in QAnon? I don't even know if I'm saying it right.
No, but I do know somebody was just elected to, I believe, the Senate who's a QAnon believer, which is insane, but it's also like the same thing with the Tea Party people.
Right.
You know?
I remember reading that. Yeah, it was like a woman, but then I was reading something that she said that when she like found some views of theirs, she started moving away from it. Maybe she was saying that because she needed to.
Or she just like got a good therapist.
Or she just got a good... Is that what you think it relates back? People wanting to belong.
People wanting to belong, people wanting to feel superior.
Right.
People who like... feel like disenfranchised, wanting to have some power.
Absolutely. Totally.
And usually it's like someone's got a big hole in themselves from something traumatic that's happened in their life, feeling less than or other, and this gives them a chance to feel better. It's like I was saying off mic before, like flat earthers.
Right. This guy specifically told me he did not believe in flat earthers, but maybe that's
because he doesn't want to get crossed up in that.
Yeah, and he's
like, I'm not an idiot. I'm just an idiot.
I'm not. They're like judging those people extra harshly.
Yeah,
and just
the Earth is clearly round, and also Hillary Clinton eats babies.
Well, it did go into the. Did he go into Pizzagate on that? I don't know. I can't fucking be around these people because. Then I'm,
Yeah.
It starts.
Some tells me you're a very intelligent person,
Thanks,
but some
James.
tells me you're also a very gullible person.
I am technically gullible, and I have a hard time picking up on sarcasm.
Yeah.
So I take things literally, which actually I have read can be a trait for dyslexic people.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that they can sometimes not pick up. To me, I think of it more as like maybe an autistic type thing, but I guess sometimes a trait with people with dyslexia can be not picking up sarcasm and taking things literally. Do you find that?
Oh, that makes a lot of sense to me. I've never heard that before, and as someone who's super dyslexic,
yes,
That makes a ton of sense because I can watch, because like you, stand-up comedian, I watch a lot of stand-up and half of the time I'm like, I don't know what these people are laughing at.
Right.
This is not funny to me. And it's not that I think it's not fun, like the person isn't funny or not talented. It's just like, this is just doing nothing for me. And sometimes I'm like, is it just because I'm a jaded, not stand-up comedian? Because I don't feel like a jaded person in life, but I'm just like, I don't get the point of that.
Do you think that it's, and you had that before you started watching so much comedy, or was it like that when you started being so immersed in it?
I don't know. Maybe it might be more that I've been doing comedy longer because I'm 37. I've been doing it since I'm 20.
And I remember meeting you in New York. Yes. And I remember you there was just a crew of people going to so many open mics. I was doing it, people running around going to open mics. And I just remember seeing you and a comedian named Anthony DeVito, Greg Stone,
Doug Smith, Jared Freed, Jessica Watkins.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Eric Bergstrom was a little bit in that crew. He was like a little bit ahead of that crew, but hung with us a lot. It was kind of a lot of us who like lived in the East Village, hung out at that before New York Comedy Club was Eastville Comedy Club. That was kind of my go-to. I would ride my bike there from Staten Island every day and do an open mic. Yeah.
Man. So you grew up in Staten Island. I wanted to try to see what it was that you were like as a kid. I read an interview where you said you blocked it out, a lot of it out.
100%.
But what were you like?
Growing up on Staten Island or being dyslexic as a kid?
I'd be curious to hear about both of them. That's what I'd be really curious to hear about, how when you're dyslexic you started like noticing it or feeling it in your brain. But I also personally would be curious what you were like just like growing up. And then when I tried to find it, it said that you blocked it out.
Yeah, oh, that's so funny. Yeah. I was a pretty cheery kid, I think, externally, but internally, I think I felt, I always had that other feeling, different, not enough, all those like deep insecurities, didn't feel comfortable around other people, was afraid I was going to get found out in school. So I had like pretty much super high anxiety through most of my childhood, where it was like on the outside, everyone thought I was like this happy, carefree kid, but inside I was just like crippled with like, oh no, what's going to happen?
Did you know you were dyslexic?
Yeah, I knew I was dyslexic from first grade, maybe before.
Wow.
I was in I was in first grade at a Catholic school, and the nuns were being really not particularly kind and loving towards me. Shocking from religious people.
Right.
And then my parents pulled me out of that school. Like they weren't letting me go to lunch. They were making me like stay to like write my things
that's
extra.
So heartbreaking, because what happens is they're like, you're not trying, or you're spelling it wrong, or you don't care, and then you're like, I'm trying.
Yeah, they would like get to the end of writing something and then start erasing it. So I wouldn't have like enough time to like keep up and stuff. So that was like when that anxiety kind of started, mixed with like all the fun religious anxiety that you get from being Catholic. And then I went to New York City public school. I got switched to the school literally across the street. And I started getting tested there, and they gave me like IQ tests and all the tests they give you for dyslexia. And I was like diagnosed dyslexia in first grade.
Very young.
Very young. And then I remember starting to get like help and like things for it in New York City public school around second grade. And I was in like resource room and like things like that. And I did that whole journey, which is like interesting when you're a kid, because you really... I have a like mixed feelings about it, because I went to New York City public school. They like kind of gave me the help I needed, but it was so in the 80s or late 80s, nobody like, they didn't have the same like knowledge around it that I do now.
Sure.
So I was a smart enough kid, because I tested high on my IQ tests, that they knew I was intelligent. I could pass tests by just like listening. But I pretty much didn't learn how to be a student, and I just learned how to get by. Right. Which negatively impacted my life in a lot of ways.
Totally.
So, but my parents did the best that they could for me. They fought for like proctors and to get me into the things and like extra test time and all those things you really do need. Yeah. But I never got the like learn how to be a good student skill set of like, this is how you grind out good grades.
Would you cheat in school?
No. Well, I cheated once. This is how I cheated. When I was a first grade reading level until like, I don't know, probably like 7th or 8th grade.
It's tough.
Yeah.
And it's interesting that you knew you were dyslexic too, though, because I think I was probably diagnosed when I was like young too, but not that young. So in some ways it's good because then you know at least what's going on, but in other ways it's probably really scary.
Yeah. Yeah, I had to go get like brain scans. I had to get
Really?
Yeah, because I also have like nerve damage in my hands that causes my hands to shake. That runs in my family. So I think it was like 5th or 6th grade. It was 5th grade. They gave me a reading test that you take, like a standardized reading test that everyone has to take in New York City, like a Scantron kind of test.
Oh, and that's the type where you have to pass it to go to the next grade?
Not that you have to pass it to go to the next grade, but they just to evaluate your reading level. That's how I knew I had like a 1st grade reading level.
Oh, that would scare
and
the
in 5th
shit
grade,
out of me.
they had like the proctor who was supposed to like, because I would get extra time because of my dyslexia.
Yeah.
And the lady was like, so what do I do here? She was like some woman who just didn't know. And I was like, oh, you just read it to me. And then I fill in the answers. And so the woman read it to me, and I scored like a high school reading level.
Right.
And then people were like, what the fuck happened? And I was just like, she read me the test. And my parents were not even mad. They were just like, yeah, great. You did what you needed to do to get by.
Right. You hustled it.
Yeah. And I didn't even I was just like, you just read me the test. And I just, and that's that's being a New York kid. You just got to know how to get by.
And then the proctor is, I don't know, maybe fired or who fucking knows?
Oh, she was definitely somebody who is like, brought in for a 21-year-old who was brought in for a day to fill in. Yeah.
How would you do when you would not get good grades? Did you feel despair?
No, not really. I never. I knew I was smart and I didn't care about school. Which was like knowing I was smart was great.
Huge.
Yeah, and
Huge.
I knew I loved the arts and cared about the arts, photography, filmmaking. Those were like my escapes. So, like, I knew I wanted to do something in that, and I was like, I just got to get through this.
Yes.
And it wasn't until later in life where, like, I did learn stuff in high school, junior high, and stuff like that, but I've definitely learned way more outside, and I wish I would have been slightly more engaged in school because...
Oh, yeah.
Because I would have gained more from it. Like, I just read Fahrenheit 451, like, a week ago.
I remember being supposed to read... I remember being told to read that book, and I remember not reading that book. I specifically remember that.
I never read a single book in high school. I never did homework once.
Really?
And I still passed.
Okay, so that was kind of because I was an awful test taker. I was a really, really bad test taker. So that's great that you weren't a bad test taker, but I also wasn't really reading the books.
But did you have like proctors who would like read the tests to you and you'd get extra time?
I definitely got extra time. I don't think I had someone reading the test.
That helps exponentially. Like I had a dude, New York City Public School do this thing where like if you're a kid with like learning disabilities, you get basically like what's called a para, who's like just a person who's kind of assigned to you.
Sure.
To make sure that you are doing what you need to do.
And they take notes for you sometimes too, right?
Yeah, they can take notes, but that wouldn't make a difference for me. I remember when I was young, they had like another student like put the parchment paper underneath, or not parchment paper, but like
that paper that copies it.
The paper that copies for you. This is like just before the internet,
right?
Or before computers were like common, and another student would do it and be like, well, it doesn't matter. It's not like I can fucking read this. Right. So I just throw the notes away.
Right. See, I was yeah. You're like, thanks for this. It could literally say fucking anything.
Yeah.
I could read, but my notes would have been all over the place. Maybe that's because I have ADHD too. So my notes.
Yeah. My therapist was saying the other day that I was talking about something. She goes, that's a sign of probably being like ADHD or something. And I was like, that would make the most sense to me.
You think you have ADHD too?
I wouldn't be shocked, or ADD or one of them.
Well, now they're one thing.
Oh, are they?
I was trying to write about that. They combined it, and I don't know who or why they're like combining this to people that barely know what they even are, but now they've updated it, and now it's just ADHD.
Oh, funny.
So ADD is just part of the ADHD umbrella.
Family.
Yeah, family. And I was like, I mean, sure, they can change it all they want. Like, I have no... I have not even... I had never even investigated what that was until the past year, trying to understand how it affects my brain. Because a lot of times people, like, with relationships, people with ADHD will get really excited and then lose interest really quickly. But that is not a sign of people with dyslexia.
No, I think people with dyslexia are pretty... I think you go one of two ways. You're either like very angry or you're very chill. And I'm of the mindset, like, it gave me tons of anxiety and stuff like that when I was younger. But as the older I get, I realize it shaped my personality in a super interesting way.
Sure.
And I read a book once about it. It's called How to Fly a Horse. And it basically said that, like, people who are dyslexic are the people in the tribes from back in the day when we were all tribes people who were like the scouts who would go out ahead of the group and like see things that other people couldn't see because we had a different perspective and way of looking at things.
Do you think it was that, or do you think they were just trying to get them like eaten off? Like they're like, you guys go check it out.
You can't stay still for a minute.
Right.
Go make sure there's no lions out there.
Yeah, like keep going, go. And they were like, we're so different. They want to just know. I believe that too. Would you tell people you were dyslexic that you were in high school with, or were you kind of in the closet about it?
I think everyone, that's the other part of it, is everyone kind of knew. You know what I mean? Because like,
oh, you've got your proctor with you too.
Well, that dude was like kind and like caring enough to act like he was there to help everybody.
Oh my God, an angel amongst us.
He was such a great human. He was such a great human being.
That's so fucking cool too.
He was the best, and he would like jump around and help other people. But he was there for me.
Right.
And
bless that person.
Such a good dude.
Yeah, that like makes you believe in humanity too.
Yes.
Because that was, I think, why I didn't want to do it. I'm just remembering a little bit. I felt like embarrassed about the idea of having an adult with me. That was, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that makes all the difference.
Yeah, and he was like a super kind and nice guy.
Wow.
Yeah. I don't remember his name. I think he retired the year after I left, and he got me like a certificate at graduation, or like before graduation, at like some award ceremony for like effort. You know what I mean? Like, which is so funny.
You're like, thank you. I did give, but you weren't doing any homework. Were you doing any? How would you pass these tests though?
I would just listen in class and retain information.
That's amazing.
And I could get like a B.
I would have killed for that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like incredible.
I'm very lucky in that way that like I can like kind of sponge stuff up a bit.
What about with math?
Who cares about math?
Not me.
Yeah.
Not me, but math was like, I wouldn't pass it. And then it's like, you can't graduate.
I failed a science class because the teacher was a dick.
Yeah.
And then I had to retake a science. And then I think that's the other thing too. I went to a New York City public school and I was a relatively intelligent person, but they put me in the lowest classes.
Yes.
So I was in classes with kids who had like a lot of behavioral problems. Right. Came from like super poor, fucked up backgrounds. And because I was...
And then are acting out in school.
Acting out in school. This is going to sound fucked up, but because I was a quiet white kid who didn't cause any troubles.
Right.
Everyone just passed me. Because I would raise my hand, answer questions. They knew I knew what I was talking about.
They ushered you through.
I would pass. So I didn't have to... I skated through, which is like part of the reason why it took me, so many years in comedy to like develop like healthy skills, to have healthy work practices, to like write every day, to like...
I think a lot. I mean, I still don't even. That's great that you even were able to then make yourself have those too.
I'm aware of them.
Yeah.
So it's like, for me, it's like almost like a pride thing where I'm like, I got to do this. I have to be a disciplined person. Grit is how you get ahead in life.
I totally. And there is definitely something about, I think, when you're like having to find a roundabout way to do things, and then when you are able to actually do them, like you're not doing the homework, you're still passing school, you're like, oh, I can find other shortcuts. Yeah. And it's like looking for where's there's got to be some shortcut. And then you do see people doing shortcuts, but it just doesn't really work out.
And long term in anything, shortcuts, you don't gain anything inside. Like, you don't gain self-esteem from cheating. You gain self-esteem from passing things and like accomplishing things.
Totally. Yeah. And also now when I look back, I'm like, oh, I would have loved to have read Fahrenheit 9/11.
Oh my God. Yeah.
What made you decide to go read it now?
I just... Once I got out of high school and I was like in my early 20s, probably around 19, 20, I started reading books for fun. And I think it was like, I read To Kill a Mockingbird.
Great book, but I just saw the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I read that book and I was like, oh, that was like fun. And I enjoyed that. And then I read like On the Road, which was like a really interesting, great book that super inspired me, which probably sent me more down a negative path than a positive one.
I've never even heard of it.
It's this Jack Kerouac book.
Heard of him.
It's about a bunch of beatniks traveling back and forth across country, basically just hanging out and partying and like living this like crazy artist lifestyle, who are all writers who like barely write in the books.
Right.
Which, as me, totally related to. I'm like this wild, crazy poet artist guy. And truly, I was like, no, you're just an alcoholic who's scared to make work.
Right. I'm a poet. Have you ever written any poetry? No, it's part of my poetry thing. When did you get sober in this whole mix?
December 25th, 2012.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's such a big accomplishment.
Yeah.
Because it's so, I mean, it's just such the biggest gift you can give yourself too, you know?
Getting married, getting sober, getting divorced, two of the best things that ever happened to me.
Oh, I didn't know if that was a saying. I just hadn't heard.
No.
That's your saying.
That's my saying.
Getting married and getting divorced. Yeah.
And getting sober.
Getting sober,
getting divorced, two of the best things that ever happened.
Right.
Because they were the two things in my life that forced me to like grow up and see myself honestly.
Yes.
You know?
Totally.
Like those were the moments when I was just like, I got married partially because of the fact that like I was young. I wanted to live that young, crazy artist lifestyle. Kind of found somebody in my life who was like a good person, but like also was living that.
Co-signed what you're doing, so then it
totally co-signed my
doesn't
bullshit.
feel as crazy because then also you're like, okay, I'm in this together with someone. I at least have that one other person that it's us against everybody. If it's not, society isn't saying this isn't right, whatever, we're doing it together. And
then I hit that point where it was like, oh, I got to get my shit together. Like I had that moment where I was like, oh, this isn't the life I wanted for myself.
Right.
And then that was the moment I like decided to get sober. Shortly after that, I went through a divorce.
I didn't realize that you were not sober when you got married.
Oh, no.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, no.
Oh, I had no clue. Well, that's really hard to stay in a relationship when you're getting sober.
Yeah.
I think because your partner is seeing, I mean, it's just tough because also it's like your partner married you when you were really sick, not necessarily in your case per se.
No.
But when you see that, like there's someone I know who that was the case, and I really judged their partner because I was like, how could you be with them in this state? I don't just judge them, I judge you just as much.
And also, like someone said this to me once, and it was like one of the best things I ever needed to hear, which was like, you can't build a house on a broken foundation.
Amen.
And we were just in a spot where it was like, we were two broken foundations when we got into that. Who were like, and as I get older, and the more I've also been just getting out of another long-term relationship. Yes. The more I learn of like, oh, I'm a very codependent person. That's a thing I need to work on. Like, I let others affect the way I care for myself and my work.
Me too. Is that codependent?
Yeah.
I do that too.
Yeah.
Shit.
And even if the person's like a good person, healthy person for me.
It's not necessarily their problem.
It's not their problem.
If you're going into it without your... So I need to start reading about that.
Yeah.
Because I was just talking with a therapist about it, and then I was telling my girlfriend, and I had been dropping little like... I was like, you know what? I got into this situation where you're moving, and the reason I was just saying yes to it was I didn't have a clear sense of what I wanted, so I'm just going along with whatever, and then it gets to a point where it's like a crisis, and I'm like, no, I cannot do this, and now it's fucked up your plans, which isn't fair to you either, but I wasn't clear on what I wanted, and I've done that in many relationships where I'm like, you know, it's like, oh, you're so easygoing, yeah, I don't have a clear sense of what I want other than career stuff, and then the next thing I know, I'm like, I can't do that, and then I pull out way abruptly to them, but it's because
you've been having that battle in your head for like
and then a while. Yes, there are lots of times before there'll be a point. Usually it'll be like a living situation where it'll be like, oh yeah, we'll do that, and it used to be okay, traveling, fine, yeah, I'll move in when we get fine. Then it gets to the move-in point, then it becomes real, but I've thought that I didn't want to do it, but then I just will bail.
Yeah,
which isn't. I didn't realize that was a codependent thing.
It could be. I don't know. I'm not a therapist, and I'm not in like CODA.
It could be.
But it could be.
Because I like being alone a lot.
I love being alone.
So if we like being alone,
but when I'm with other people, I have a hard time like setting strong boundaries about what I need for myself and the way I care for myself. Like since this breakup, this person was like the most loving, supporting person I've ever been with.
You've always said such nice things about her.
She is an incredible human being.
Yeah.
I learned so much. I grew so much. But why is it that it took me us breaking up for me to like lose a bunch of weight, write every day.
You did lose a bunch of weight. I fucking knew it.
Yeah, I've lost like, I don't know how much right now, but at
least 40 pounds.
No, not 40.
More? Less? Okay.
But probably somewhere between 15 and 20. Yeah.
The only reason I didn't ask is I had a bad experience once where I asked someone, I was like, you lost a bunch of weight, and actually it was Jim Gaffigan.
Yeah.
So I was like, wow, you lost a bunch of weight, and he was like, no, I gained weight. And he was like, but maybe the last time you saw me, I was so fat, and then I lost weight, and then I gained a bunch of weight, but you must have just not seen me for a year and a half when I was so fat. And he's like, I gained weight, and he was like, fuck. And I was like, so I never try to comment unless I'm 100% sure. I knew you lost weight.
Yeah, I did. And it was funny. I was showing at the Comedy Store last night, and I was showing someone a photo of me. They were like, "How much? You didn't really? How much did you lose?" And I was like, "Well, this is what I looked like when I was in New York on December."
Were fat.
Yes, I was.
But I don't remember you as fat. It's just now you look thinner.
Yeah, it all goes in two places on my body.
Okay.
It's all my stomach,
right,
which just gets Santa Clausy,
right,
and in this bottom part of my face that fills out. So I end up looking like a light bulb, like an upside down light bulb.
Okay. I mean, I wouldn't have said that, but I would. But it is noticeable in your face.
Yeah, that's the first spot it drops. The second I get over 202 pounds, I look like a fat piece of shit.
Hey, it happens to the best of us.
Me, apparently I'm the greatest because it's happened to me a bunch of times in my life.
It happens.
But this time around, I feel like I've kind of learned more in this time about how to like
take care of yourself.
How to eat properly. Like I've done the whole 30 a couple times and I lose a bunch of weight, and now I'm doing intermittent fasting on the suggestion of Alexis and Dee Guerreros.
Are they doing that?
Alexis lost like 75 pounds.
Really? Yeah. Alexis is a comedian in New York. Really nice guy.
He's one of my best friends.
Gave me
in
a
the
great
world.
tag on a joke.
Ugh.
He gave me a great tag. Didn't realize he did it. A tag is like adding something onto the joke that's like another funny part.
Yeah, it's like the end thing that's almost like the topper,
it's
or
the
keeps it rolling.
He goes, after I said, he goes, I love it when you say this in that joke. I was like, I don't say that at all. Can I? And he was like, I thought I heard you say it. And I was like, no. And then like that's like the favorite part of that joke for anybody.
That's great.
So
Stephen Fury gave me one of those, an LA comic the other day, that he was like, you should say this in that part. And I was like, and it was just, that's my favorite thing. One of my favorite things about stand-up. I love so many aspects of the job, but I like coming up with stuff for other people.
I do too.
Because my brain says it, it's like my favorite.
Totally.
That's the whole reason me and Rail Battle are friends, is because he was in New York Comedy Club and I gave him a tag.
Well, it's a huge. You are beloved immediately to the person. They're like, thank you so much.
Yeah.
So they're doing intermittent fasting.
Yeah, and Dee lost like 20 or 30 pounds too, and she was already like an in shape lady.
But what do you do when because I was just started seeing a nutritionist actually, because I was like, I need to get it together where I can cook for myself and know how to go to the grocery store, because normally left to I would just be getting Uber Eats or whatever.
Yeah.
Too expensive, not healthy.
Yeah.
So I've been trying to learn about cooking. But what do you do when you get hungry on the intermittent fasting?
I don't. That's the thing. Once you start doing it, you learn how much food you actually need. And
right.
Like I've learned how much I was portion-wise overeating and like how it was all over the day. So for me, like I eat between noon and 8 o'clock. You know what I mean? Like, and I don't need to eat after 8. So I eat before I leave to go to the Comedy Store or go do a spot somewhere around LA. And then I'm eating mostly at home too. So it's freshly like cooked and prepared stuff.
Are you cooking?
Oh yeah,
Great job.
I love cooking.
Did you like cooking before?
I loved cooking.
Oh, you
before.
did? I never cooked that damn thing. So you were cooking before, but it just wasn't necessarily healthy stuff.
Can I recommend
Please,
something?
Anything.
Masterclass, Alice Waters Masterclass.
Done and done. I already got the Masterclass subscription.
She is incredible. She's a chef from San Francisco, and she is just makes you feel inspired to cook.
Is it healthy stuff?
It's all healthy stuff.
And you can also, what I've learned is you really can eat anything. It's about portion control.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to I've just been eating like chicken, vegetables, yogurt, protein bars, protein shakes.
That's kind of what I do. So 12 o'clock, I go on a walk every morning, hour and a half. And then I get home at like 12, 12:30.
That's a lot of steps.
Yeah.
That's like about, it's about 8 grand steps.
It's about 10,000 a day.
That's what I try to do every day. But I'm doing it usually 11 p.m.
When I lived in New York, I would get that all the time.
Right,
you move to LA, it's harder to.
Effort.
So I just, first 45 minutes, I listen to an audiobook. Next 45 minutes, I listen to nothing.
Yep.
Think about jokes.
Wow.
And then get home, I make a shake. I do this like it's called cachava. It's like mostly like
I've seen the ads.
Yeah,
for
there's
it.
ads for it. I know they add on podcasts and stuff like that. And I'll have that, and that's like got a lot of greens and vegetables, and it's I don't know what the hell's in it, but I know it's good. I know it's healthy and it fills me up.
Right.
Then I usually have a bowl of granola.
Yeah.
It's like a grain-free granola that's mostly like nuts and dates.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the night, I'll have like a salad with a sausage and some eggs and like 2 fried eggs on top.
And that's all?
And that's my day.
It's a healthy day.
Yeah.
And you don't get hungry? Because I've been getting famished at night.
Not at all.
Wow. I've been getting I will get really fucking hungry at about 10 o'clock, and then I start eating for the next day. But I factor it into the next day. But the nutritionist was like, it's a little, you're kind of trying to manipulate it.
Yeah. Well, from what I've learned from the other people who've done it, it's like when you get used to eating in that window, you're not hungry. And you sleep through most of the fasting. So when I wake up, I'm not hungry.
Right.
And then I go on, I do my morning ritual and routine. And then I go on my walk. And then
you must have gotten hungry at some point, like when you were training yourself to do it.
No, I really didn't. And I was eating like complete shit.
Man.
But also I'm a person where I'm like, well, if I'm eating healthy, I can kind of eat as much as I want being healthy.
Right. I was victim with that, where I would be like, oh, I'm eating vegan. I can eat vegan cookies as much as I want.
No. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about I would just make a shit ton of roasted vegetables and make a giant salad. And I'm pretty much just eating one super big meal a day.
Right.
And then having 2 smaller meals a day. And that's kind of how I've managed to lose 20 pounds.
That's great.
Yeah.
Has your ex noticed? Has she why did it take leave?
No. I bounced back and forth a bunch while we were dating.
Yeah.
And we got on the Whole30 together and both lost a lot of weight. And I did it twice. I did it once and then lost a bunch and then did it again before I taped my Bill Burr set to lose a bunch of weight for TV.
What made you gain the weight back?
I just started eating the way I used to eat beforehand.
Because it's fucking hard.
Yeah.
Trying to teach yourself a new habit.
Very.
It's really difficult.
Yeah. And then I'm just I lost the weight. And then I'm only gonna, and now doing this, I've kind of realized oh no, this is just how I eat.
Right.
And then once a week, I can eat maybe some stuff that I don't normally I can have a croissant. I can have a hamburger.
I bottomed out with croissants. Did you have a worse? Really, I did when I was in New York.
No.
Yeah.
I'm laughing because I relate so goddamn hard.
Did I tell you this about New York with the croissants?
No, but I love croissants so much.
First of all, actually, I didn't. I used to be I don't like croissants. People be what the fuck?
French pastries.
I love pastries.
Are my goddamn jam.
And I love French bread, and I love lemon squares. I love sugar stuff, but I never liked croissants. And I was saying at the Wall Street Inn, don't go there.
Okay.
Do not set foot in there because it's over. It's over. I can't go back either. If ever you're in someplace, there's a meeting, meet me at the Wall Street Inn. Try not to, but there's free croissants, and they had them in individually wrapped bags. And I was staying there and not taking care of myself, and I was eating them for every meal for 3 days.
Oh man!
And I got so depressed. That's why I got the nutritionist.
Yeah, that'll do it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's what I've come to learn too over time, and it's you pick up a slogan somewhere,
right?
And then
I love slogans. I love a slogan.
I literally write them down every single day. I have
Do you?
6 of them that are the things that I try to remind myself.
Oh, that's great.
And one of them is a Dalai Lama one. Is just because something brings you pleasure doesn't mean, or just because something gives you pleasure doesn't mean it's going to bring you happiness. And to me, that is food. That's a lot of food stuff.
Ain't that? It's food,
drinking,
any kind of cheating.
I haven't been in that jam.
It's it's a instant high at the expense of everybody and yourself, and it's just a selfish, short-sighted thing to do.
Yeah. Yeah, you're not playing it forward.
Right, you're not playing it forward at all.
Yeah, you're just this feels good right now.
Exactly. And then you feel the crippling self-doubt of it. So when you were in high school, people would know that you're dyslexic. Did they? Yeah. Were they cool about it, or how would they react?
Yeah, because of I was one of those people who could kind of float between every group, but didn't have a ton of close friends.
And in the interview, it was saying you were friends with some guys that were busting balls.
Oh, I grew up. I'm from Staten Island.
Right.
I have ball busters galore. And
Right.
I have a very close group of friends from high school who were all a year older than me.
Okay.
Who were like the people a couple of guys who grew up on my block and like people from that age, which was also a weird thing that I was like always the youngest person in my friend group, but weirdly mature, and people's parents trusted me more than their own kids. But mixed in with that, like, so like I wasn't close friends with anyone my age in my group. So in high school, I was kind of like, I felt a little separated from my peers.
Totally. That makes sense. And then also, like, if you're friends with older kids, it's like they're not going to make, people maybe won't make fun of you because you got older friends too.
Yeah. And also, like, I wrote graffiti, I breakdanced.
You wrote graffiti and breakdanced?
Yeah. So, like, I hung out with some, because my school was like a rougher school.
Sure.
I hung out with some maybe what would be considered rougher kids.
Right.
You know, I had friends who were in, like, you know, the real gangs that, like, people know by name.
You broke danced?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I know. I wasn't good at like the stuff on the floor, but I was really good at like the popping and locking kind of stuff. And so like every crew kind of has one of those guys, and I was that guy. Similar like how I skated as a kid, but I wasn't good at skating, so I was the guy who filmed everything.
Yeah, you gotta get in where you fit in.
Yeah.
You should, so you could do the pop, lock, and rockin' if you really wanted to on TikTok, I guess.
Oh, yeah, I would actually probably be pretty good at that.
That's so funny because to me, I always blame my dyslexia for being like, oh, I have a hard time with rhythm for learning dances.
I'm okay with that. I'm not good at sports because people with dyslexia tend to have bad hand-eye coordination.
Yes. And also, I have vivid memories of soccer field being like me starting to run in the wrong direction, and people are like, no, and it's already like a thing because you're going on the wrong way in the fucking.
Yeah.
Well, James has some shows coming up that I'm going to promote.
I do.
Which is cool.
I'm going to be in San Antonio, Texas.
Coming right up the 12th.
Yeah, November 12th, one night only, San Antonio, Texas. The next night, I'm doing a secret show in New Orleans, outdoor secret show. If anyone wants, they can follow me on Instagram. It's at the J.F. Harris. If you're in New Orleans, DM me, and I will send you the address of that secret event.
Have you been to New Orleans before?
New Orleans is hands down, I don't want to say my favorite city, but it's pretty damn close.
It's cool.
It's top 2 or 3 for
Totally.
me. It's one of those ones I could totally live in.
Really?
100%. I wouldn't want to live the whole year there.
Right.
Because it gets hot and brutal.
Right.
But I would be a person who winters in New Orleans.
I love it.
Yeah.
So I get that. I guess I think because now I'm associating it with where I go when there's a pandemic, it's made me have more of a negative association with it, but it's not the place, it's the pandemic.
Yeah. You know? I love the food. I love the culture. I love the music.
Totally.
I would live in Preservation Hall if they would let me.
It's so, I love that architecture.
Oh my God, it's gorgeous. And that's the other thing. Like, I'm a huge francophobe. A francophobe. That makes it sound like francophone. Francophobe makes it sound like I'm
you hate people named Frank.
Fuck Franks.
James is very accepting. He just don't bring any JF's very accepting.
Frank Scaparo fucked it up. Right? That's the first kid who ever beat me up. So then where else am I going? I'm going to be at Side Splitters in Tampa.
Nice.
And then I'm doing then I'm headlining Laugh-In Cafe in Fort Myers, Florida, Arlington, Virginia, and then hopefully in New York over Christmas time.
When will you be in Arlington?
December 16th.
Nice.
One night only, driving from Florida up to New York to see my family.
That's going to be Christmas. A nice little chunk.
Yeah, it's going to be good. I'm going to miss LA because I'm doing like 6 to 8 spots a night right now.
A night?
I'm sorry, a week.
Yeah, see, that's great. Yeah. And that's when LA is at its absolute best, when you're working on material and just getting to also be here. Because it's so awesome.
Yeah.
So usually what the downside is not getting as much stage time. But if you're getting the stage time, you are then in the best place, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
I think.
And right now I'm very lucky that, like, you know, there's opportunities for me to get up at a lot of places, and I'm getting to take advantage of it.
Absolutely. Because to be like working on stuff while you're here, then that's like the biggest premium.
Also in the middle of a breakup, which gives you a hot hand for writing.
Yes, it does give you a hot hand for writing.
Yeah.
That's true.
I got about a new 10, 12 minutes right now.
Woo!
Yeah. In the same time it took me to drop all these LBs.
Are you going to start dating again, you think?
Not anytime soon.
Yeah.
I really don't want. I told my therapist that I would like to be single for a year.
I think that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Only because I didn't know, looking back for myself, that's something I was thinking that I was single once for 3 years. Have you been single for a chunk before?
I was pretty single for most of my life. Like, I would date someone for like a couple of months. I dated maybe one person for about a year, but until I started dating my ex-wife, I was pretty much a single guy. But I haven't been single in a decade.
Yeah.
So I went pretty much, that marriage ended a couple months later. I started dating my girlfriend, now ex-girlfriend. And so I haven't been single in a decade. So I'm taking a year for me to look at that like codependent shit.
Totally.
That definitely was a factor in why this relationship didn't work out.
For sure.
You know?
Yep.
And so keep doing therapy, keep leaning on that stuff, keep working out, build healthy habits, build a structure for myself that this way when I do introduce a new person into it, I'm like, yeah, this is what I do every day. This is how I live. You're welcome to join this. And if it doesn't work for you, peace out. But these are kind of my boundaries.
Can I compliment you? Can you compliment me? And I'm not going to modify everything so much, because there's can be an aspect too of trying to, I found where it's like, okay, I'm trying to present myself as the perfect person. So someone's really excited and I want to make someone happy. And then it's not sustainable, because that's not really what I'm like. That's not really what I can offer. Yeah. And I also, and then that's just tricky. And then it's just not fair to anybody.
Yeah. And there's also a tough balance when you do what we do and you travel the road so much. Like, I was a person who would travel doing stand-up like 40 to 45 weekends a year.
Sure.
That's a lot of gone time.
Sometimes a lot of gone time.
Sometimes I would be home maybe 5-6 days in a month.
It's so much gone time, and then it does a few things. In my experiences, it makes it, you can romanticize what it would be like if we're around.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, if you were around, it'd be like this. It's like, would it? Or it also can make, it's like it makes the heart grow fonder too.
Yeah, but also when I am home, then it would feel like, well, I have to give this person a bunch of my time.
Yes.
Because I'm gone all the time.
Yes.
And then when I was in Los Angeles, I wasn't taking the proper advantage of Los Angeles that I needed to for my career.
Totally.
In like writing, self-care, stuff like that. And the messed up, and this is the part I need to work on the most, she never asked of any of that of me.
Isn't that the kicker? Because I can say the same thing about any, with the exclusion of one relationship, but 100% same.
They were, this person was always 100% supportive of me doing what I needed to do for my career, because she was doing what she needed to do for hers.
Right.
But I am a person who I'm like, well,
I relate to that. So even the other night, there was something where, Ashley's gone and I was out and I was like, oh, this is so great. I was like out much later than I would have been. And I was talking to her and she was like, Emma, like, I don't care when, like, that I don't care about that. And she doesn't. Yeah. And there've been times where she's canceled on me last minute. And I always am like, oh, thank God. She's like, hey, a job came up. I'm really sorry. And I'm like, thank God. Whereas for me, I'd be like, oh God, if I cancel, then she's going to think that I can never be dependable and da-da-da-da-da.
Yeah.
She gets it.
And I'm a similar way, where it was like, it would be like, the person's in bed. What's it matter if I get back at 12 or 2 in the morning?
Right. They're watching TV and I'm either sitting next to them or not. So
yeah, I might as well be out doing spots and hustling.
Right. I know. It's so interesting too to wonder. I always wonder where like that comes from. Also, like, childhood, I guess.
I think it has a definite hand in my dyslexia.
You think so?
Or just learning disabilities and disabilities in general, physical disabilities in general, gave me that sense of like not being enough. That when I'm with other people, I'm trying to make everything okay.
Yes.
I think it came from some of my relationships with my parents.
Are your parents divorced?
No, my parents are still together.
Okay, because my parents are super, super divorced, and I definitely would be going in between them, trying to like appease, make them both feel better.
Yeah, and my parents are the best. I love them so much, but they also have, they grew up with fucked up parents, and they're still like coming back from that.
Yes.
Well,
that's a good way to say that.
Yeah.
That's a very respectful way that's like a nice way to phrase that, which is true for so many.
Every human being.
Yeah, exactly. They, they grew up with fucked up parents and then they're coming back from that.
My dad had an abusive alcoholic dad, and he's not an abusive alcoholic person. So he's like killing the game already.
Right.
But also like has some stuff because of it.
Sure.
Totally. Which, I got a little bit of stuff because of that.
Right. Totally.
And then that's why I do the work I do.
Right.
So that if I do ever have a kid, that kid we'll have a little less stuff to have to deal with.
Everything's an upgrade.
Yeah.
Everything's an upgrade. Trying. If you're that's, progress, not perfection.
I'm Harris 3.0.
Right, exactly. Is your dad's are you named after your dad?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very nice.
I'm a junior.
And you decide not to use it on the name?
No. I mean, J.F. Harris Jr. would be a lot.
Yeah. It sounds really fancy.
Real pretentious.
Yeah.
And I'm the son of a blue-collar fireman from New York City.
Right. Like, that would be getting your butt beat up, I would imagine. Yeah. So it's good to not.
Yeah.
But. Well, thank you so much for doing this.
This
and
was
please,
a true blast.
I appreciate it. Please look out for James and check out all of. Do you mind when people? For some reason, I always call you James. Sometimes then I say JF too.
That's a sign of how long somebody has known me.
Okay.
Like if someone calls me James because my name is James Harris.
And I try to self-correct it.
No, it's fine. I don't mind it. I think it gets weird for other people when you're talking to people about me.
Of course.
Because no one in Los Angeles has ever known me as James Harris. It's only New York City comics who knew me the first 2 years I was doing stand-up. And I changed it to JF because there were 4 other stand-ups named James Harris around the country. One was here in Los Angeles who was kind of successful at the time, who's since quit.
Okay.
The other one is Talent, who's like a super famous dude in New York City.
Okay.
If you're in the urban scene especially.
Wait. The comedian named Talent?
Yeah.
His name J.F. Harris?
His name is James Harris.
Yeah. Okay, there's a very well-known comedian named Talent. I thought it was like you were just saying they were like Talent. I got it.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, Talent's name's James Harris.
Oh, huh.
So sometimes I have to make sure they have the right W-9s because there's been like...
Really?
Yeah.
And you guys are very different.
Very different.
Yep.
Yeah. And that other guy quit, but somebody in the industry who worked for JFL when I was like a year or 2 in, who was booking comics at the time, was like, you got to change your name.
Really?
And I was just like, okay. And I did. And I didn't need to because that other guy quit.
Right.
But I was already so deep in that it's like, well, this is who, and I kind of like it. It marked a point in my life when I started taking my career really seriously.
Totally. Well, thank you, JF, for doing the show. I appreciate it very much.
Can I keep this podcast going as we try to stop for another 5 minutes?
Absolutely.
Okay. Follow me on Instagram
at
the JF Harris. I would appreciate that. That's the best way to follow me.
Thank you.